It was September 22nd, 2004, San Francisco. Late in the season, the bases were loaded, and yet, the pitcher didn't even look at home plate. 4 straight balls, intentional walk. With the bases loaded, the crowd booed. The announcers laughed in disbelief, but inside the dugout, nobody was surprised. Because the man walking slowly to first base was Barry Bonds. 7 MVP awards. The most feared hitter baseball has ever seen. Pitchers didn't just respect him, they avoided him. Because when Barry Bonds stepped into the box, he wasn't just swinging a bat, he was solving a puzzle. And pitchers still remember the look on his face. Ask pitchers about Bonds, and the stories always sound the same. Frustration, respect, and a little disbelief. Pedro Martinez once admitted, "There are great hitters, and then there's Barry Bonds. Against him, your best pitch might not even matter." Pedro knew he faced some of the greatest hitters in history, but Bonds was different because Bonds didn't chase, ever. Hall of Famer Greg Maddux, a master of precision pitching, once explained it simply. You couldn't trick him. He knew what you were trying to do before you did it. Maddux made a career out of outthinking hitters, but against Bonds, the chess match flipped. Even power pitchers felt it. Randy Johnson said, "You try to throw the perfect pitch, and he spits on it. You miss by an inch, and it's in McCovey Cove." Then there was Tom Glavine, another Hall of Fame lefty. He said something that pitchers rarely admit. Sometimes the smartest thing you could do was not pitch to him. That wasn't cowardice. That was survival, because Barry Bonds forced pitchers to change their entire plan. Their sequencing, their strategy, sometimes their pride. Barry Bonds never described hitting as power. To him, it was information, angles, timing, memory. He once said something that explained everything about the way he approached the game. Hitting is timing. Pitching is upsetting timing. But Bonds believed he could control that battle. He studied pitchers like professors study textbooks. Release points, arm angles, patterns. He remembered everything. Former teammates used to joke that Bonds could recall a pitch sequence from 3 years earlier. And when the league changed, Bonds adjusted. In an era that began celebrating strikeouts and towering swings, Bonds believed in something older. Plate discipline, strike zone control, making pitchers uncomfortable. He didn't chase the highlight. He chased the mistake. And when the mistake came, the swing was inevitable. Long before the home run records, people inside baseball already knew. When Barry Bonds debuted with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1986, veterans noticed something immediately: the confidence. Not loud, not flashy, just quiet certainty. Pirates manager Jim Leyland once said, "Barry wasn't cocky. He just expected greatness from himself." And he delivered quickly. Teammates remember batting practice as the first warning. Balls weren't just hit hard, they were launched. But what impressed players most wasn't the power, it was the brain. Bonds studied the game constantly. Film, pitch charts, situations. He wanted to know why things happened. And that mindset turned him into one of the most complete players baseball had seen since Willie Mays. In fact, that's not a coincidence. Willie Mays was his godfather, and the influence was obvious. Speed, defense, power. Baseball IQ. From the beginning, Bonds wasn't just good, he was inevitable. To understand Barry Bonds, you have to look at the numbers, but even the numbers feel unreal. 7 MVP awards, the most in baseball history. 762 career home runs, a single season record of 73. He retired with a .444 on-base percentage, one of the greatest ever. But those numbers only tell part of the story. Because Bonds didn't just hit home runs, he dominated every part of the game. In the early 1990s, he was a 5-tool superstar. Gold Glove defense, elite speed, 30 stolen bases, 40 home runs, complete control of the strike zone. Pitchers hated facing him, even before the power explosion. Hall of Fame pitcher John Smoltz once said, "The scary thing about Bonds was that he never gave away an at-bat. Even when he struck out, he forced you to work. 8 pitches, 10 pitches, sometimes more. And if you finally slipped, the ball left the stadium. By the early 2000s, the dominance became almost surreal. Pitchers stopped challenging him entirely. In 2004, Bonds walked 232 times, 120 of them intentional. Entire defensive strategies revolved around avoiding him, not getting him out, avoiding him, because one mistake could decide the game. Barry Bonds was born in 1964. Baseball was already in his blood. His father, Bobby Bonds, had been an all-star, and growing up around clubhouses shaped Barry early. He understood the pressures of the game, the politics, the expectations. But Bonds' career wasn't without controversy. His relationship with media was often tense. He was private, guarded, sometimes blunt. And of course, his name became tied to baseball's most controversial era, the steroid era. Accusations, investigations, arguments that still divide fans today. But inside clubhouses, many players saw a different side. Teammates often described him as intensely loyal, protective of younger players, demanding, yes, but committed to winning. And on the field, his leadership came through preparation. You didn't need speeches when Barry Bonds was in the lineup. You just needed to watch. The stories about Bonds are sometimes hard to believe. One famous moment happened in 1998. The Arizona Diamondbacks were so determined not to face him, they intentionally walked him with the bases loaded. It became one of the strangest plays in baseball history. But maybe the most unbelievable stat? Bonds once had a season where his on-base percentage was higher than many players' batting averages. Think about that. He reached base more often than most hitters even got hits. Teammates also joked about his batting practice routines. Some days he would hit towering homers into the water beyond Oracle Park. Other days, he would deliberately aim for the left field foul pole, just for practice. One Giants player once said, Barry could hit a home run whenever he wanted, but sometimes he just didn't feel like it. Half joke, half truth. Because Bonds treated hitting like an experiment. When legends talk about Bonds, the respect is obvious. Hall of Fame closer Mariano Rivera once explained the challenge. Against most hitters you exit. Managers felt it too. Opposing dugouts spent hours planning around him. Lineup protection didn't matter. Pitchers didn't care who was behind him. They just didn't want to face him. Even Tony La Russa admitted, you had to manage differently when Bonds was in the game. And that's the ultimate compliment. Because baseball is a game of routines. But Barry Bonds broke those routines. Pitchers nibbled. Defenses shifted early. Bullpens warmed faster. He wasn't just a hitter. He was a problem. A mental test for every opponent. Despite opportunities to leave, Bonds spent the most famous years of his career with the San Francisco Giants. The city embraced him. The ballpark celebrated him. And even as controversy surrounded the later years, his production never stopped. When Bonds talked about the game, he rarely focused on records. Instead, he talked about preparation. He once said, I don't care about home runs. I care about getting on base. Another quote captured his mindset perfectly. If I know the strike zone better than the pitcher, I'm already winning. That was the secret. Not just power, understanding, control. When MLB players were asked about Barry Bonds, the answers rarely focused on statistics. They talked about something else. The discipline, the intelligence, the inevitability. Pitchers didn't just fear his swing, they feared his patience. Because against Barry Bonds, the battle started before the pitch was thrown. He didn't overpower the game, he outthought it. And that's why, decades later, the stories still sound the same. Like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what's your favorite Barry Bonds memory? Because in baseball history, there has never been another hitter quite like him.